Captain Jake Miller stood on the bridge of the ship New Horizon. His hands were sweating inside his gloves. Today was the most important day in human history. After 30 years of sending radio messages into space, someone had finally answered back. The Zephyrian Empire controlled 12 star systems. They had ships that could travel faster than light. They had weapons that could destroy planets. And now they wanted to meet with humans. Jake looked out the big window at the front of his ship. Below them was a small moon called Kepler 442c. It orbited between Earth space and Zephyrian space. Nobody owned this moon, which made it perfect for their meeting. "Captain," said his communications officer, "the Zephyrian ship is coming." Jake nodded. His mouth felt dry. "Tell everyone to get ready." Dr. Lisa Carter was in the science lab looking at her notes for the 100th time. She was Earth's best expert on alien life, but everything she knew came from books and guesses. Today she would meet real aliens for the first time. Lisa's hand shook as she read her papers again. What if the aliens didn't breathe the same air as humans? What if they were dangerous? What if they decided humans weren't worth talking to? She heard footsteps behind her. Ambassador Paul Jackson walked into the lab. Paul was a tall man with gray hair. He had spent his whole life talking to people from different countries. Now he had to talk to people from different planets. "Are you ready, Lisa?" Paul asked. "I don't know," Lisa said honestly. "Nobody has ever done this before." Paul smiled, but Lisa could see he was nervous too. "We'll figure it out together." In another part of the ship, Chief Engineer Karen Kim was trying to fix a broken air filter. Her 10-year-old son Danny sat nearby reading a book about space. Danny wasn't supposed to be in the engineering section, but Karen couldn't find anyone to watch him today. Danny had been with Karen for 3 years now. She adopted him after his birth parents died in a transport accident. Danny was curious about everything. He asked questions all day long. Karen loved that about him. "Mom," Danny said, looking up from his book, "do you think the aliens will be friendly?" Karen stopped working and looked at her son. "I hope so, Danny. That's why we're here. Can I meet them?" "No," Karen said quickly. "You need to stay in our room today. This is very important grown-up business." Danny made a sad face but nodded. Karen felt bad, but this meeting was too dangerous. If something went wrong, she wanted Danny to be safe. On the bridge, Jake watched a dot of light grow bigger in the distance. The Zephyrian ship was huge. It was 3 times the size of the New Horizon. Its surface was smooth and silver like a mirror. Strange blue lights moved along its sides. "They're asking permission to dock," said the communications officer. Jake's heart pounded. "Give them permission." The alien ship moved closer. Jake could see it had no windows. He wondered how the aliens could see where they were going. Maybe they didn't need eyes like humans did. Ambassador Paul arrived on the bridge. He wore his best suit and carried a briefcase full of gifts from Earth. Dr. Lisa came with him. She had her tablet computer ready to take notes about everything. "The docking is complete," announced the navigation officer. Jake took a deep breath. "Let's go meet our new neighbors." The 3 humans walked through the corridors of their ship. Other crew members lined the walls, watching them pass. Everyone knew this moment would change everything. They reached the docking bay. Jake's security chief, Commander Ryan Torres, was already there with 4 guards. Ryan was a big man who always looked serious. Today he looked extra serious. "Any weapons detected?" Jake asked. "Nothing we can recognize," Ryan said. "But that doesn't mean they don't have any." The airlock door made a hissing sound. Red lights flashed, then turned green. The door opened slowly. The first thing that came through was the smell. It was like flowers and metal mixed together. Then came the sound of footsteps, but they sounded different from human footsteps. A figure appeared in the doorway. Jake's mouth dropped open. The alien was tall, maybe 7 feet. Its skin looked like crystal that changed colors from silver to blue. It had 4 eyes, 2 where humans had eyes and 2 more on the sides of its head. The alien wore flowing robes that seemed to move by themselves. Behind the first alien came others. They were all tall and crystal-skinned. Some carried what might have been weapons. Others held devices that beeped and flashed. The first alien stepped forward. When it spoke, its voice made musical sounds that Jake had never heard before. A small device on its chest glowed, then spoke in English. "I am Princess Verithala of the Zephyrian Empire. We come in peace to meet with the humans." Ambassador Paul stepped forward and bowed. "Your Highness, welcome to our ship. I'm Ambassador Paul Jackson. We are honored by your visit. The princess's 4 eyes looked at each human carefully. Jake felt like she was studying them, learning about them just by looking. Dr. Lisa stepped forward with her tablet. Your Highness, I am Dr. Lisa Carter. I would love to learn about your people. Princess Verathala's crystal skin shifted to a brighter blue. And I would learn about yours, Dr. Carter. Jake was starting to relax. The aliens seemed friendly. Maybe this would go well after all. But then Danny Kim appeared around the corner. The boy had gotten bored waiting in his room. He wanted to see the aliens his mom had told him about. He peeked around the corner of the corridor, trying to stay hidden. Princess Verathala's 4 eyes immediately locked onto Danny. Her crystal skin changed color rapidly, cycling through silver, blue, and something that looked like purple. The princess stared at the boy. The other aliens stopped moving. The humans looked confused. Interesting, Princess Verathala said, her musical voice echoing in the docking bay. Jake felt his stomach drop. Something was wrong, but he didn't know what. The princess took a step toward where Danny was hiding. Danny, scared now, ran back toward the engineering section to find his mom. Princess Verathala watched him go. Then she looked back at the human adults. Her crystal skin was now a dark purple color. We must talk, she said. The meeting room on the New Horizon was the biggest space on the ship. Captain Jake Miller had ordered his crew to make it perfect for the aliens. They put flowers from Earth on the table. They made sure the air was clean and the lights were bright. Princess Verathala sat across from the humans. Her crystal skin kept changing colors slowly. The other Zephyrian aliens stood behind her like guards. They had not said a single word since coming aboard. Ambassador Paul Jackson opened his briefcase. He took out gifts from Earth. There was a piece of music from Mozart. There were pictures of Earth's oceans and forests. There was even a small plant in a clear container. These gifts represent the best of humanity, Paul said. We hope they show our desire for friendship. Princess Verathala looked at each gift. Her 4 eyes moved in ways that hurt to watch. She touched the plant container with one long finger. The plant seemed to glow for a moment. Your world is beautiful, the princess said. We have watched your radio signals for many years. Your species shows promise. Dr. Lisa Carter leaned forward. We have so many questions about your people. How do you travel between stars so quickly? How many worlds do you live on? The princess's skin shifted to a lighter blue. We will share much knowledge, Dr. Carter. But first, we must understand something about your people. Jake felt nervous again. What do you need to understand? The small human we saw, Princess Verathala said. Where is he now? Jake looked confused. You mean Danny? He's with his mother. His mother, the princess repeated. The word seemed strange when she said it. At that moment, Karen Kim walked into the room. She had been looking everywhere for Danny. She was worried he had gotten into trouble. I'm sorry to interrupt, Karen said. I'm looking for my son. A crew member said he was seen near the docking bay. Princess Verathala's 4 eyes focused on Karen immediately. The other aliens behind her made small musical sounds. Karen felt like she was being examined under a microscope. You are the mother of the small human, Princess Verathala said. It wasn't a question. Yes, Karen said. Danny is my son. Is he in trouble? The princess stood up slowly. She was much taller than Karen. Her crystal skin began cycling through colors faster than before. Bring the child here, Princess Verathala commanded. Jake started to object, but Karen was already leaving to get Danny. She didn't want to cause problems with the aliens. A few minutes later, Karen returned with Danny. The boy held his mother's hand tightly. He had never seen anything like the crystal aliens before, but he wasn't scared. Danny was curious about everything. Princess Verathala stared at Danny for a long time. The room was completely quiet except for the humming of the ship's engines. Come closer, young human, the princess said. Danny looked up at his mom. Karen squeezed his hand and nodded. Together they walked toward the princess. Princess Verathala knelt down so she was closer to Danny's height. Her 4 eyes studied his face carefully. Danny stared back with wide eyes. What is your name? The princess asked. Danny Kim, the boy said in a quiet voice. Danny Kim, the princess repeated. Then she looked up at Karen. And you are Karen Kim. Yes, Karen said. She was starting to feel worried but didn't know why. Princess Verathala stood up again. She looked at the other humans in the room. Her crystal skin was now a dark purple color. We have excellent senses, the princess said. We can detect genetic patterns, family connections, bloodlines. It is how we organize our society. Dr. Lisa Carter pulled out her tablet to take notes. This was fascinating information about alien biology. The child, Princess Virathala continued, has completely different genetic markers from the female. Yet he shows pack bond behaviors toward her. He follows her. He trusts her. He calls her mother. The room became very quiet. Jake began to understand that something was wrong. Princess Virathala stepped closer to Karen and Danny. Her 4 eyes never stopped moving. "Is he yours?" the princess asked, staring directly at Karen. Karen opened her mouth to answer, but no words came out. How could she explain adoption to an alien? How could she explain that she chose Danny and he chose her, even though they didn't share the same blood? The silence stretched on for seconds that felt like hours. Everyone in the room was holding their breath. Danny looked up at his mom. He could see she was upset. He didn't understand why the pretty crystal lady was asking such a strange question. "She's my mom," Danny said simply. "She chose me and I chose her." Princess Varathala's crystal skin flashed bright white for a moment. The other aliens behind her made loud musical sounds. They seemed excited or upset. "Chose," Princess Virathala said. "You chose each other?" "Yes," Danny said, not understanding why this was confusing. "My first parents died in an accident. Karen found me at the children's home. She said she wanted to be my mom. I said yes because she was nice to me." The princess looked back and forth between Danny and Karen. Her skin was cycling through colors so fast it was making the humans dizzy. "This is not possible," Princess Virathala said. "Maternal bonds are genetic. Loyalty is based on bloodline. You cannot choose your pack." Ambassador Paul tried to step forward. "Your Highness, perhaps we can explain our adoption customs." "Silence," the princess commanded. Her voice made the walls vibrate. She walked around Karen and Danny in a circle like a predator studying prey. Her 4 eyes never stopped watching them. "In our empire," Princess Virathala said, "family loyalty is everything. Children serve their birth parents. Parents protect their genetic offspring. This is the natural order." She stopped directly in front of Karen. "But you claim to care for offspring that is not yours. You claim he chooses to obey you without genetic compulsion. This suggests deception." Karen felt her heart racing. "It's not deception. I love Danny like he was born to me. He's my son in every way that matters." "Love," the princess repeated. Again, the word sounded strange when she said it. Danny tugged on his mom's sleeve. "Mom, why is she confused? Don't aliens have families?" Princess Virathala heard this and her skin flashed bright red. "We have proper families," she said. "Genetic families. True families. Not this choosing." The other aliens behind her began making more musical sounds. They seemed to be having a conversation that the humans couldn't understand. Princess Virathala turned to face all the humans in the room. "If your species practices deception in your most basic relationships," she said, "how can we trust you as allies? How do we know anything you tell us is true?" Jake felt the entire diplomatic mission falling apart. "Your Highness, please let us explain." "No," Princess Virathala said firmly. "We must consult with our advisors. We must understand this choosing concept. Until then, all negotiations are suspended." She gestured to the other aliens. They began moving toward the door. "Wait," Karen called out. "Please don't judge all humans because of me. Danny and I are family." "That's not deception. That's love." Princess Virathala stopped at the doorway. She looked back at Karen and Danny one more time. "We will return tomorrow," she said. "You will explain this choosing. You will prove it is not deception. If you cannot, this alliance ends before it begins." The aliens left the room. The humans stood in stunned silence. Danny looked up at his mom. "Did I get us in trouble?" Karen hugged her son tightly. "No, sweetheart. You didn't do anything wrong." But as she held Danny, Karen wondered if their family might have just ended humanity's chance at joining the galaxy. Captain Jake Miller couldn't sleep that night. He walked the corridors of the New Horizon, thinking about everything that had gone wrong. The most important diplomatic mission in human history was falling apart because of a 10-year-old boy and his adopted mother. Jake stopped at the observation deck. Through the big windows, he could see the Zephyrian ship floating nearby. Its blue lights pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. Jake wondered what the aliens were thinking. Were they planning to leave? Were they planning something worse? Down in the engineering section, Karen Kim sat on her bed holding Danny while he slept. She hadn't told him how serious the situation was. How could she explain to a child that their family might cause a war between species? Karen thought about the day she first met Danny at the children's home. He was 7 years old then, scared and alone. Most people wanted to adopt babies, not older children, but something about Danny made Karen's heart ache. When he smiled at her, she knew he was meant to be her son. Now that same love might doom humanity's future among the stars. Dr. Lisa Carter was in her lab, working frantically. She had an idea that might help, but she needed to research everything she could about families in the animal kingdom. If she could show that adoption happened in nature, maybe the aliens would understand. Lisa's fingers flew across her computer keyboard. She found information about emperor penguins who adopted orphaned chicks. She found data about dolphins who cared for babies that weren't their own. She even found stories about human families throughout history who took in children who needed homes. But would any of this matter to aliens who thought only genetics created family bonds? Ambassador Paul Jackson was on the bridge with Jake. They were listening to intercepted communications from the Zephyrian ship. The aliens weren't trying to hide their conversations. Maybe they wanted the humans to hear. The translator is having trouble with some words, Paul said, but I think I understand the basic meaning. Through the speakers came the musical voices of the aliens. The computer tried its best to translate. The humans show pack bond behaviors without genetic justification. This is unprecedented. How can loyalty exist without bloodline compulsion? The small human follows the female willingly. No genetic programming detected. This challenges everything we know about intelligent species. Jake felt his stomach tighten. They're talking about us like we're a science experiment. In a way we are, Paul said sadly. They've never encountered a species that forms families by choice. Commander Ryan Torres joined them on the bridge. Ryan was responsible for ship security. He looked worried. Captain, Ryan said, I think we should prepare for the worst. If these negotiations fail, the Zephyrians might decide we're too dangerous to leave alive. Jake didn't want to think about that possibility, but Ryan was right to be concerned. The aliens had weapons that could destroy their ship easily. Start quietly preparing emergency procedures, Jake ordered, but don't let the crew panic. The next morning, Princess Verathala returned to the New Horizon. This time she brought more aliens with her. They carried devices that beeped and scanned everything around them. The princess's crystal skin was a deep blue color. She seemed calmer than the day before, but her 4 eyes still watched everything carefully. We have consulted with our advisors, Princess Verathala announced. We have also contacted our homeworld. The concept of choosing family bonds is unknown in our empire. Ambassador Paul stepped forward. Your Highness, many species on Earth form families through choice rather than genetics. It's natural for humans. Natural, the princess repeated. You claim deception is natural. It's not deception, Dr. Lisa Carter said. She carried her tablet with all her research. Many animals on our world adopt offspring that aren't genetically their own. Emperor penguins, dolphins, even some birds will raise orphaned young. Princess Verathala's skin shifted to a lighter shade. Show us this evidence, Lisa activated her tablet. Pictures and videos appeared in the air above the device. The aliens watched footage of animal families caring for adopted young. Interesting, Princess Verathala said. But animals are not intelligent species. They act on instinct, not choice. But that's exactly the point, Karen Kim said, entering the room with Danny. We choose to love. We don't need genetics to tell us who to care about. Princess Verathala focused her 4 eyes on Karen and Danny again. You still claim this child is yours? He is mine, Karen said firmly, and I am his. Not because we share DNA, but because we choose each other every day. Danny looked up at the princess. He wasn't scared anymore. He was curious about why she seemed so confused about families. Don't you have kids? Danny asked the princess. The question seemed to surprise Princess Verathala. Her skin flashed several colors quickly. I have genetic offspring, she said carefully. 3 children who carry my bloodline. They serve me because genetics compel them to. But do you love them? Danny asked. The princess tilted her head. All 4 eyes focused on the boy. Love is not necessary. Genetic loyalty is sufficient, Danny frowned. That sounds sad. My mom loves me and I love her. That's what makes us family. Princess Verathala walked closer to Danny. She knelt down to his level again. But what if she stopped choosing you? The princess asked. What if she decided she no longer wanted you as offspring? Danny thought about this seriously. Then I would be sad. But I would still love her. And I think she would still love me too, even if we couldn't live together anymore. The princess's crystal skin began cycling through colors again. She stood up and looked at Karen. This is incomprehensible, Princess Virathala said. In our empire, when genetic offspring fail to meet standards, they are abandoned. They die. This is natural selection. The humans in the room looked shocked. Dr. Carter spoke first. You abandon your own children? Defective offspring weaken the genetic line, Princess Virathala explained. Only the strongest should survive to reproduce. Jake felt sick. These aliens abandoned their own children, but they couldn't understand humans who chose to care for children who needed families. Karen stepped forward, still holding Danny's hand. What you call defective, we call different. What you see as weakness, we see as strength. Danny makes our family stronger because we chose each other. Impossible, Princess Virathala said. Strength comes from genetics, not choice. Does it? Karen asked. Your people abandon children who don't meet your standards. Our people take in children who need love. Which society sounds stronger to you? Princess Virathala's skin flashed bright white. The other aliens behind her made urgent musical sounds. You question our ways, the princess said. I'm questioning whether you understand what strength really means, Karen replied. The room fell silent. Everyone could feel the tension building. Jake wondered if Karen had just made things better or much worse. Princess Virathala stared at Karen for a long moment. Then she looked down at Danny. Small human, she said. If you could choose any family in the universe, would you still choose this female? Danny didn't hesitate. Yes, she's the best mom ever. Even though you share no genetic connection? That's not what makes her my mom, Danny said. She takes care of me when I'm sick. She reads me stories. She teaches me things. She hugs me when I'm scared. That's what moms do. Princess Virathala's crystal skin began shifting through colors faster than ever before. She turned to face all the humans. We must return to our ship, she announced. This concept of chosen bonds requires more study. We will communicate our decision tomorrow. As the aliens prepared to leave, Princess Virathala stopped next to Danny one more time. Human child, she said, you have given us much to consider. After the aliens left, the humans sat in stunned silence. They had no idea if they had made progress or sealed their doom. Danny looked up at his mom. I think she's starting to understand. Karen hugged her son tightly. I hope you're right, sweetheart. I really hope you're right. The next morning brought unexpected news. Princess Virathala sent a message asking to meet on the observation deck instead of the formal meeting room. She wanted to see the stars while they talked. Captain Jake Miller wasn't sure what this meant. Was it a good sign or a bad one? He decided to let Karen and Danny lead the conversation, since they seemed to understand each other better than the adults did. The observation deck had huge windows that showed the black space around them. Stars twinkled like tiny diamonds. The planet below them looked blue and peaceful. Princess Virathala arrived with only 2 guards this time. Her crystal skin was a soft silver color. She seemed calmer than before. Danny, the princess said, looking directly at the boy, I have been thinking about your words all night. Danny smiled at her. That's good. Thinking is important. Indeed it is, Princess Virathala said. I have consulted with the wisest advisors in our empire. They cannot understand how your family bond works. Karen felt her heart sink. If the alien experts couldn't understand, maybe there was no hope. But, the princess continued, I have decided to conduct my own investigation. Dr. Lisa Carter stepped forward with her tablet ready. What kind of investigation? I wish to speak with other humans on this ship, Princess Virathala said. I want to understand if this choosing of families is common among your species. Jake nodded. Of course, Your Highness. We'll arrange for you to meet with our crew. For the next several hours, Princess Virathala interviewed different members of the ship's crew. Each conversation taught her something new about human families. She met engineer Ben Davis, who told her about being raised by his grandfather after his parents died in a war. Ben's grandfather wasn't related to him by blood, but he chose to take care of Ben anyway. My grandfather already had 6 kids of his own, Ben explained. But when he heard about me, he said family isn't about how many people you have. It's about making sure everyone belongs somewhere. Princess Verathala's skin shifted to a curious blue. This grandfather gained no genetic advantage from caring for you. No, Ben said. But he gained something better. He gained a grandson who loved him. Next, the princess spoke with Dr. Carter about her students. Lisa had mentored dozens of young scientists over the years. She thought of many of them as her children, even though they weren't related. I teach them, I worry about them, I celebrate their successes, Lisa explained. When they achieve great things, I feel proud like any parent would. But they are not your genetic offspring, Princess Verathala pointed out. No, but they're part of my family anyway, Lisa said. Family grows when you choose to let it grow. The princess then talked to Commander Ryan Torres about his team. Ryan's security officers came from different countries and backgrounds. They had no genetic connections, but they trusted each other with their lives. We're like brothers and sisters, Ryan explained. Not because we have to be, but because we choose to be. That makes our bond stronger, not weaker. Princess Verathala's 4 eyes studied Ryan carefully. You would die for these humans who share no bloodline with you? Without hesitation, Ryan said. And they would do the same for me. After hours of interviews, Princess Verathala returned to the observation deck where Karen and Danny were waiting. Her crystal skin was cycling through many different colors. Your species confuses me, the princess admitted. According to our science, chosen bonds should be weaker than genetic bonds. But your people seem to have strong loyalty without genetic compulsion. Danny was sitting by the big window drawing pictures of the stars. He looked up at the princess. Can I ask you something? Danny said. Yes, small human. Do you love your children? Princess Verathala paused for a long moment. Love is not a concept we understand the same way you do. But are you happy when you see them? The princess tilted her head. I feel satisfaction when they perform their duties well. That's not the same thing, Danny said sadly. My mom is happy just because I exist. Even when I make mistakes. Karen smiled and ruffled Danny's hair. That's what love is, sweetheart. Princess Verathala watched this interaction closely. Her skin shifted to a warm golden color. Show me, the princess said suddenly. Show you what? Karen asked. Show me this love you speak of. Demonstrate this chosen bond. Karen wasn't sure how to demonstrate love to an alien. She looked at Danny, who was still drawing. Danny, do you remember when you first came to live with me? Karen asked. Yeah, Danny said, putting down his crayon. I was scared. I thought you might not want me after a few days. What changed your mind? Danny smiled. You made pancakes shaped like spaceships for breakfast. And when I spilled juice on my new shirt, you said it didn't matter. You said accidents happen and clothes can be washed, but boys like me are irreplaceable. Princess Verathala's skin flashed bright white. Irreplaceable? That's right, Karen said. Danny is the only Danny in the universe. No one could ever replace him. But if he fails to meet your expectations, then I help him try again, Karen said simply. That's what parents do. Princess Verathala was quiet for several minutes. She stared out at the stars, her skin slowly changing colors. In our empire, she finally said, I have seen children abandoned because they were not strong enough. I have seen parents who feel no emotional attachment to their offspring. I have seen families where members betray each other for personal gain. She turned to face Karen and Danny. But you chose each other without any guarantee of genetic benefit. You remain loyal without any biological compulsion. You show affection without any survival necessity. Yes, Karen said. That's what makes us family. Princess Verathala's 4 eyes focused on Danny. Small human, if your mother became ill and could no longer care for you, what would you do? Danny thought seriously about this question. I would take care of her, just like she took care of me. Even though you gain no genetic advantage? I wouldn't care about that, Danny said. She's my mom. I love her. Princess Verathala's crystal skin began glowing brighter than they had ever seen it. She walked closer to the window and looked out at the stars. Your species has something we do not, she said quietly. You have the ability to create family bonds that transcend biology. You choose loyalty instead of inheriting it. Dr. Carter joined them on the observation deck. Your Highness, what does this mean for our alliance? Princess Verathala turned around. Her skin was now a brilliant gold color. It means, she said, that your species may be stronger than we initially believed. In our empire, we rely on genetics to create loyalty. But genetics can fail. Chosen bonds, it seems, do not fail as easily. Jake felt a spark of hope. Are you saying the alliance is possible? I am saying, Princess Verathala replied, that your species has shown us something revolutionary. You have demonstrated that strength comes not only from perfect genetics, but from perfect choices. She looked down at Danny, who was showing her his drawing of the two ships floating together among the stars. You have taught us that family is not about who you are born to, the princess continued. It is about who you choose to love and who chooses to love you back. Danny held up his picture. I drew you with us, because maybe we can all be friends. Princess Verathala's skin flashed through every color they had seen, ending on a warm, bright gold. Yes, small human, she said softly, I believe we can. For the first time since the aliens arrived, Karen felt truly hopeful. Maybe their family hadn't doomed humanity after all. Maybe their family had saved it. 3 days later, the New Horizon was ready for the most important ceremony in human history. The signing of the Earth-Zephyrian Alliance would be broadcast across both human and alien space. Millions of beings would watch as two species became friends. Captain Jake Miller stood in the main conference room wearing his best uniform. The room had been decorated with flowers from Earth and crystals that Princess Verathala had brought from her homeworld. The crystals hummed softly and changed colors in patterns that were beautiful to watch. Ambassador Paul Jackson arranged the official documents on the table. The alliance treaty was written in both English and the musical language of the Zephyrians. It promised trade, friendship, and protection between the two species. But the most important part of the ceremony wasn't the treaty. It was what Princess Verathala had planned as a surprise. Dr. Lisa Carter was setting up recording equipment to document everything. She wanted future generations to remember this day perfectly. As she worked, she noticed Danny Kim sitting quietly in the corner with his sketchbook. What are you drawing now? Lisa asked. Danny held up his picture. It showed humans and Zephyrians standing together under a sky full of stars. In the center of the picture, a small human boy held hands with a tall crystal alien. It's about friendship, Danny explained. My mom says friendship is like family. You choose it, Lisa smiled. That's very wise, Danny. Princess Verathala entered the room with her full entourage. Today her crystal skin was a brilliant silver that sparkled like starlight. She wore ceremonial robes that seemed to move like liquid metal. Behind her came other Zephyrian nobles that Jake had never seen before. They had traveled from distant star systems to witness this historic moment. Humans, Princess Verathala announced. Today we make history, but first, there is something I must share with my empire. She activated a communication device. Suddenly, holographic images appeared in the air above the room. Jake could see Zephyrian cities on distant planets. Millions of crystal aliens were watching. Princess Verathala spoke in her musical language first. The translator worked to convert her words to English for the humans to understand. Citizens of the Zephyrian Empire, she said, today we sign an alliance with the human species. But this alliance is different from any we have made before. She gestured toward Danny and Karen, who stood together near the treaty table. The humans have taught us something profound. They have shown us that the strongest bonds are not those we inherit, but those we choose to create. A murmur went through the watching alien crowds. This was clearly a surprising statement. For too long, Princess Verathala continued, we have abandoned offspring who did not meet our genetic standards. We have believed that only perfect bloodlines create strong societies. Jake watched the alien crowds through the holograms. Many looked shocked. Some looked angry, but others seemed curious. But the humans care for offspring that are not their own blood, the princess explained. They create families through choice, not genetics, and these chosen families are as strong as any genetic bond. She walked over to Danny and knelt beside him. This small human has no genetic connection to his guardian, yet he shows complete loyalty and love. His guardian protects and nurtures him without any biological compulsion. They chose each other, and their bond is unbreakable. Danny looked up at the princess and smiled. Hi, everyone, he said, waving at the holographic crowds. Princess Verathala's skin glowed brighter. Because of what this child and his mother have taught us, I am announcing a new policy for our empire. The alien crowds became completely silent. No longer will we abandon offspring who do not meet genetic standards, Princess Verathala declared. Instead, we will allow families to choose each other, as humans do. We will create homes for those who need them, regardless of bloodline. The reaction from the Zephyrian crowds was immediate and dramatic. Some aliens flashed bright colors in what appeared to be excitement. Others turned dark colors that might have meant disapproval. But many seemed thoughtful and interested. Princess Virathala stood up and addressed the humans in the room. We also propose a cultural exchange program. Zephyrian young who need families will be given the opportunity to find them through choice, and human families who wish to expand their bonds will be welcome in our space. Ambassador Paul looked amazed. Your Highness, this is far more than we hoped for. It is what your species has taught us is possible, the princess replied. She walked back to the treaty table and picked up the signing device. But before she could sign, she made one more announcement. I am creating a new position in our diplomatic corps, Princess Virathala said, looking directly at Danny. The position of Ambassador of Chosen Bonds. This ambassador will help our species understand the human concept of family by choice. She held out a small crystal badge that glowed with soft blue light. Danny Kim of Earth, will you accept this position? Danny's eyes went wide. He looked up at his mom, who was smiling with tears in her eyes. Can I really be an ambassador? Danny asked. You already are, Princess Virathala said. You have been teaching us about chosen families since the moment we met. Danny took the crystal badge. As soon as he touched it, it began glowing brighter and changing colors. I accept, Danny said seriously. I'll help aliens understand that families come from love, not just genetics. The ceremony continued with the official signing of the treaty. Princess Virathala and Ambassador Paul signed their names with great ceremony. Flashbulbs fired as photographers captured the historic moment. But the most important moment came after the signing. Princess Virathala approached Karen and Danny one final time. Karen Kim, the princess said, you have changed the course of our empire. Your choice to love a child who is not your genetic offspring has opened our eyes to new possibilities. Karen felt emotional. I just followed my heart, Your Highness. Yes, the princess said. And that is exactly what we must learn to do. She turned to Danny and held out her hand. Danny took it without hesitation. Ambassador Danny, Princess Virathala said, will you show me your drawings one more time? Danny opened his sketchbook and showed the princess all his pictures. There were drawings of humans and aliens working together. There were pictures of families that looked different but loved the same. There was even a drawing of Princess Virathala teaching alien children about friendship. These are wonderful, the princess said. May I keep one? Danny carefully tore out his favorite drawing. It showed a human boy and an alien princess standing together under a rainbow of stars. This one, Danny said, handing it to her. It's called New Friends. Princess Virathala's crystal skin shifted to the warmest golden color they had ever seen. She accepted the drawing with great care. Thank you, Ambassador Danny. I will treasure this always. As the ceremony ended and the various dignitaries began to leave, Jake reflected on how much had changed in just a few days. They had come to this meeting hoping for a simple trade alliance. Instead, they had sparked a revolution in how an entire galactic empire thought about family and love. Karen hugged Danny tightly as they watched the Zephyrian ships preparing to depart. Are you proud of what we accomplished? Karen asked her son. Danny thought about this seriously. I'm proud that we helped them understand. But mostly I'm just happy we're still family. Karen smiled. We'll always be family, sweetheart. Nothing in the universe can change that. Through the observation deck windows, they watched Princess Virathala's ship slowly move away from the new horizon. But this wasn't goodbye. It was the beginning of a friendship that would change both species forever. As the ship jumped to light speed and disappeared among the stars, Danny waved goodbye. See you soon, Princess, he whispered, and somehow, Karen knew they would. The alliance between Earth and the Zephyrian Empire had begun not with weapons or technology, but with the simple truth that the strongest bonds are the ones we choose to make. And at the center of it all was a 10-year-old boy who had taught an entire galaxy that love makes family, not genetics. The universe had become a little bit smaller and a lot more loving, and it all started when an alien princess asked a simple question. Is he yours? The answer, it turned out, was more beautiful and complicated than anyone had imagined.